Welcome to the channel. Welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before getting into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with a little bit of takeover news, I suppose. So this has come from Turki Al Shikh, where he tweeted the following: "The happiest news I heard today is that Manchester United is now in an advanced stage of completing a deal to sell to a new investor. I hope it will be better than the previous owners," which is very cryptic. And we'll go through who Turki Al Shikh is in a second. But it's been picked up by, the mainstream media. It's been absolutely exploding on social media with conspiracy theories and all sorts of information. But the reality is, at this moment, it's not really been confirmed or denied. So at the time of recording this video, I've still been waiting for a little bit of substance either way, someone coming out dismissing it or someone coming out confirming that it's true. And at this time of recording, there's been neither. So in the Daily Mail, they're saying that Saudi sports supremo Turki Al Shikh has raised the intriguing prospect of a fresh takeover bid for Manchester United. Al Shikh, who is understood to be in talks with United over a potential friendly game during Riyadh season, posted a message on X on Wednesday night suggesting that the club are ready to sell to new investor. Al Shikh, the head of General Entertainment Authority, responsible for bringing some of the world's highest profile sports events to Saudi Arabia, posted, "The best news I heard today is that Manchester United is now in an advanced stage of completing a deal to sell to a new investor. I hope he's better than the previous owners." And then he does say it's unclear, in the report, it's unclear if there's any substance to Al Sheikh's claims or if he is criticising the Glazers or Ratcliffe in his post, but his comment attracted close to 1 million views in the early hours of Thursday morning. Now, Turki Al Shikh is very... he's the leading guy of, the sports world in Saudi. He's responsible for like the boxing, the UFC, the football and everything like that as well. So he is a very, very, highly regarded individual, very good negotiator and things like that as well. He's got 7.2 million followers. But at the time of recording, there's little substance. It's not necessarily been confirmed or denied, but so many questions regarding that, because he doesn't necessarily say that it's Saudi investments, just that an investor could potentially be, looking to whether, and he doesn't say whether they're going to be looking to buy the whole club, whether they're going to buy out the Glazers or look to buy or invest in the club, and we'll have three owners. Like, there's no substance or there's no meat on the bones from his sort of post. Don't know where we would stand in terms of the stock exchange as well, because obviously we're a publicly listed company, and I'm sure there's rules and laws and everything regarding that. And I'm pretty sure it would have to be announced to shareholders if we were looking to sell the club. There is a clause, though, in the contract between the Glazers and Sir Jim, where the Glazers can now sell the club without Sir Jim's permission, although he might have the rights to buy. I'm confused around that situation. Someone will probably correct us in the comments regarding that. But it's an interesting story. At the moment, though, it is just noise. Good noise, though, or indifferent noise, or bad noise, depending on which way you sit on the side, on the fence of the ownership model and everything like that. But I always think anyone that can potentially get the Glazers gone is good news, in my opinion. So yeah, give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. It's going to be interesting, and we'll wait and see a little bit more credibility regarding it. The only one that I have found so far is from Steve Railson in the Manchester Evening News, where they said that Manchester United have been surprised at the claim of a fresh takeover bid being prepared. Sports Supremo Turki Al Shikh has written on social media to suggest United are on the brink of new investment, causing confusion among supporters and staff at the club. So at this moment, that's the only sort of report that I've seen come out suggesting anything else other than that. It could just be, like I said, we need to wait and see what plays out, because I'm sure there'll be either a firm denial of what's going on, or potentially there is something going on behind the scenes, because we don't know at this stage whether there is something actually happening behind the scenes or not. So but yeah, I'll keep you paying attention to it for you. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Now, Sir Jim done an interview yesterday as well. I don't know if you've seen it. There was a lot of so when it comes to like interviews and podcasts and stuff like that as well, you'll see all the quotes and everything online. But personally, I like to actually listen or watch these things because sometimes things can get taken out of context. And I do think the context is important when it comes to who said what, rather than just reading direct quotes. So I've had a listen to the podcast this morning, quite interesting from Sir Jim. It was on the Times Business podcast. It's the first one they've done as well, and Sir Jim was the first person they were interviewing. The first part of it speaks about Ineos and petrochemicals and stuff, and then the second part they get into stuff going on at United. So I've done my own transcript of what was actually said through the interview, just because there's some interesting points I felt from Sir Jim in there. So firstly, he was asked how's it going at Manchester United. And he responded with the following, saying, depends how much you read the press, really. We try to ignore the press. If I try to look at the progress we have made at Manchester United, I think we've made quite a decent amount of good progress. There are two halves to a football team, the business side and the sports side. You have to tackle them separately. The biggest correlation, whether we like it or not, is profitability. The more cash you've got, the better squad you can build. It's like the better your Formula One car, the quicker you go. The better your squad, the better your football should be in principle. What we have done in the first year is spend an awful lot of time trying to put the club on a sustainable, healthy footing, and that's required quite a lot of restructuring. And that's when he was talking about, all the job losses and stuff. Referring to the job losses and stuff like that. And he said Manchester United will become the most profitable football club in the world, in my view, and from that will stem, I hope, a long-term, sustainable, high level of football. Now, the reason I wanted to do that first is because what I found important or intriguing in the podcast is, we're fans. I'm a fan. I just want us to see us win football games and play well and be entertained on a weekend or a midweek game when we watch Manchester United. But these are the owners, and obviously they see things slightly differently. I'm sure they want the same thing, but ultimately they've got the responsibility to run the business and run the football club, right? And I wanted to bring that in first because I think it's important to understand where Sir Jim's mindset is. And you can disagree, you can agree, but this is understanding the way they're looking at the football club, which is first and foremost to get the financial side of things sorted at the club in order to become profitable, to become sustainable, because in turn that will then lead to us being able to go out and buy better players, which should then in turn lead us to hopefully get back to where we want to be, and that's winning titles and competing in Champions Leagues as well, because you do need the right players. You need the best players around in order to do that. And so phase one from Sir Jim, according to that, was get the money and get the finances in order first, in order for us to be sustainable and profitable, in order for us to then hopefully go out and get some more players and get the squad and all of that stuff done. And according to Sir Jim, he's saying that they think they've done a pretty good job so far at doing that. He did allude to in the podcast as well the fact we've made record profits, and he did say that obviously we've not yet seen the results of that this year as well, because some of the finances, because of the way the football finance works, will hopefully show up next year. And he did allude to the fact that we've done that even without Champions League football and stuff as well. So that's the kind of first phase, I suppose, from Sir Jim, is get the house in order. Get your house in order first. Get your money in order. Get your finances in order. That's what's led to all the redundancies and job cuts and bits like that as well. It's quite interesting, actually, what he was saying about the staff and the job cuts as well. One of the quotes I picked up on, I've not done a slide for it, but he said that there were some good, fantastic people at Manchester United, but there was a level of mediocrity in there which had crept in over the years and it had become bloated. So he was saying that, and that was... which Ruben Amorim not said that there's far too many people that are too comfortable at Manchester United as well. So that was the first interesting part I felt from Sir Jim's comment. Then he goes on to talk about Ruben Amorim. So he said, I like Ruben. He's a good man, great character, great coach. I know he gets shit in the press all the time, but if you look at the ecosystem that surrounds the coach, it's not just about the coach. It's about the training facilities, data analysis, medical science, and the quality of the squad. He has been there. He's not been there a season yet. So again, these are important factors when it comes to, the decision making at Manchester United. Is it the coach? Is it the environment? Is it the players? Is it the training facilities? And all of these things have clearly come into context when it comes to actually being the owner. Again, we're looking at results on the pitch as a fan and annoyed by the system and, team selection and stuff. But there is a bigger picture behind the scenes, which I think Sir Jim was alluding to there. He also said, I remember the clamouring for Alex Ferguson to be fired in his first 2 years. Half the press would have fired Sir Alex in the first 2 years. We're results driven at the end of the day, but we have to be patient and we have to see through the results. So that's an key part from his comments. We are results driven at the end of the day. I think there's lots of good things at Manchester United. We have to be patient and we have a long-term plan. It isn't a light switch. You can't run a club like Manchester United on knee-jerk reactions to some journalist who goes off on one every week. And so they was asked then, does Amorim get at least the rest of the season? He said, Ruben needs to demonstrate that he's a great coach over 3 years. That's where I would be, because football's not overnight. So some interesting comments and points I felt from Sir Jim, but I thought it was important to go through the context of it as well and the order that they were sort of talking on where. So according to him, he sees that obviously the club has two sides, the finances and the football. Sir Jim believes if you fix the finances first, then that will lead to ultimately fixing the football, which, obviously they're businessmen and he's a multi-billionaire and they see things behind the scenes. Like I said, we're fans. I'm just watching what's going on the football pitch and team selection and tactics and all of that stuff and getting giddy or angry or emotional over that side of things. But then also on Ruben Amorim saying that it does obviously depend on that we are a results-based business, which is absolutely the right thing to do, because if any manager loses 10 games on the bounce, I would imagine that their job's going to be in question, whether that's Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta, or anybody you're dictated to by the results. But that also patience is required, and that if it was down to Sir Jim, he would give Amorim the 3 years, or at least he said 3 years, whether that's including the time that he started, so 2 more years or 3 years from now. Who knows? Which does, highlight to me that there is a long-term vision at the club, and hopefully they're going to see that through. But again, it will depend on the results and other factors like that as well. And I think that that's going to, potentially divide opinion, because I know some of you from previous comments very, critical of Ruben Amorim, and the evidence is there to suggest that that's fair. I know some of you are supportive and want him to stay and want to do like a long term and a behind the rebuild and stuff, and I can see both sides of the coins when it comes to that as well. But I think the good thing about Sir Jim actually coming out and giving some clarity is we know what they're thinking now. So we know the direction of travel for the club. They want to get the finances in order and then in turn, build the first team. And, that will relate to getting better players. And hopefully that'll improve us anyway going forward, regardless of the coach. But I like the fact that he's come out because, it quiets the noise around the manager as well and takes a little bit of the pressure off, because, with all the media attention and he's getting sacked this week, or we don't win this game, he's going to lose his job, and so on and so forth. It doesn't create a productive environment for any manager to thrive under that sort of pressure. So I do think that Sir Jim's been clever by taking some of that pressure away from Ruben Amorim and backing him. I think there's an argument to say that maybe it takes away some of the player power if it still exists at United. I don't know whether it does, because that's one of the reasons why we got rid of some of the players that we did, because of off-field things that were going on behind the scenes as well. Whether that still exists at United or not, who knows? But there might be some players thinking, well, I can outlast this manager and not trying and stuff. And if that is the case, I don't know whether that is or not, and we don't know whether that's the case or not, but it kind of puts that bit to bed as well, in my opinion. And at least it's a decision. I've clamoured for, we've heard nothing from the Glazers since they taken over. We have no idea what the direction of travel is, what the thinking is, what the planning is as well. Whether we agree with it or not, that's a conversation, and you can let me know what you think about that in the comments. But it's it's from the horse's mouth directly that this is how we see the football club go, and we want to improve the finances, and in turn that will improve the football on the pitch, because we will be able to buy better players. We obviously need to see that through, and it isn't. And he's right in what he's saying. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? You can't just instantly come in with a magic wand and make everything better. There are steps to this, but it does look like they have those steps, or they're at least doing it in the order or in the way that they can. And then let me know what you think about Ruben Amorim as well. Do you think he does deserve time to, see through a rebuild. I still think results will dictate on that, because the one thing is, and it's all very well in giving, a manager time, and I'm supportive of that, because it's different to what we've done when we do knee-jerk, sack a manager, bring another one in, start another rebuild, and we're never finishing a rebuild, and it just goes around in this endless loop of this doom loop almost, which has led us to where we are now. So I do think there is, an advantage to actually breaking that cycle and seeing a project through. But it's what Amorim does with that time that I'd be interested to see, because, what he's been doing so far, I don't think's working, and he needs to tweak it. And in fairness and credit to him, he did actually tweak things against Sunderland as well. And that's all we're asking for, or I'm asking for anyway, is just do something different. Because if you keep doing the same things and expect a different result, then that's the definition of an insanity. But make little tweaks. So like we saw against Sunderland, instead of trying to play out from the back, constantly use the long ball to Benjamin Sesko as another weapon, and like these little things to hopefully see that gradual improvement on the pitch as well. And the main thing is consistency. We need to get some consistency, not just in results, but also in performances as well. We need to start, seeing things on the pitch. So it's all very well and good at Amorim having time, and I'm supportive of that, because it's coming from obviously from the top, and if they see things differently when they're looking at things like the training and everything like that behind the scenes, then that's fine. I'll get behind that. But we need to see what Amorim's going to do with that time is what I would counter argue that with. But give us your thoughts and feelings on the whole situation in the comments below, because I'm sure you'll have a lot to say regarding that. Do you think that's the right thing from Sir Jim? Do you think it's a bad move? Give us your thoughts and opinions on that in the comments below. It'll be interesting to read those later. Now, one of the things that he did say, which I found interesting, was regarding the academy. So he said the academy has really slipped at Manchester United. You need the academy to be producing talent all the time. It helps you financially. You have to have a certain number of British players in your squad as well. So some of you have been saying in the comments, buying the young players or building the youth through, as a means to sell them. I think that kind of clarifies that, yes, it does help you financially, but not also, I think, selling the players. Also financially, that if you can buy a player for £1 million and they end up being, a first team regular at Manchester United, then you've saved yourself a shit ton of money that way there as well. So I don't necessarily think that alludes to just selling the young players, because I think they would only sell the players that they don't see as first team ready. And we've already seen the value of that as well. Look at this summer. I know some of you will say, Elanga and Alvaro Carreras and these sort of players. We actually did make a lot of money through sell-on clauses with those players this summer. And whether that was the right or wrong thing to sell them or not is that's personal preference, and we're all different regarding that. But the point is, we made a lot of money this summer through those sell-on clauses and that as well. And so it does. I think he's right in what he's saying. It does help you financially, whether you are profiteering from selling homegrown players or young players, or sell-on clauses if they are decent, or keeping them. You've saved money that way as well. So I found it was interesting saying that the academy has slipped at Manchester United, and maybe that's why we're seeing a few changes regarding the jobs and that there as well. So hopefully that is something we can get better at. Now, the one thing I totally disagree with what Sir Jim said, though, was regarding the Glazers, but I do not like any positivity towards the Glazers, because they are public enemy number one, in my opinion, for Manchester United. And, I don't like the Glazers, so I don't think this will go down very well with some fans. We was asked what would happen if the Glazers told him to sack Amorim. He said it's not going to happen, but he also said the Ineos boss added the Glazers were happy for him to take charge, adding that's probably sums up we're local and they're the other side of the pond. That's a long way to try to manage a football club as big and complex as Manchester United. We're here with feet on the ground. They get a bad rap, but they're really nice people and they're passionate about the club. I would avoid saying anything positive about the Glazers if I was Sir Jim Ratcliffe as well. But obviously he has a business relationship with them. He's not going to say, look, they're absolutely pathetic and shit, and don't know what they've been doing for the last 20 years apart from taking money out the club, because ultimately he does want to buy the club from them at some point in time in the future. So he does need to maintain that healthy relationship. And who knows, maybe he does like the Glazers, and in which case that's fine. I don't agree with it. I don't like anything positive said about the Glazers, but that's just me being completely biased. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Now, let's run through some other news. So firstly, let's talk about, there's been obviously a lot of noise over the last months, days, weeks, however long you're counting, regarding Bruno Fernandes. Now, Simon Stone in the BBC, who's a good source, has come out saying the following. So Bruno Fernandes has no interest in moving to the Saudi Pro League at the end of the season, BBC Sports understands. The Portugal midfielder rejected huge offers from Al Hilal and Al Ittihad last summer in order to stay at Manchester United. Sources close to the United skipper have completely rejected recent suggestions he is ready to quit Old Trafford after the World Cup next summer and accept a Saudi offer. BBC Sport has been told that it is not the case, and Fernandes, whose United contract runs to 2027 with the option of an additional year, is only interested in playing in major European leagues. As it stands, he is fully committed to United, and then goes on to say that he's determined to, help us improve and get us back in the Champions League and all that stuff as well. So that's really interesting. That goes completely against the narrative, doesn't it? Because all the reports have been Saudi interest and likely to go next summer. Simon Stone, though, who is credible, connected at the club and stuff as well, has come out saying, actually, no, Bruno Fernandes doesn't want to, even if he does go next summer, he's not interested in going to the Saudi Pro League. So that's an interesting turn of events. Obviously, it's too early to tell. The summer's a long way away, and a lot could happen between now and then as well. But yeah, we'll need to wait and see, because like I said, all the reports and the narrative up until now has always been that Bruno is going to go to the Saudi Pro League. But according to Simon Stone, nope, not interested in going to the Saudi Pro League. Doesn't say, though, like I said, it wants to stay in Europe, whether another European team, PSG, Bayern were interested in before. Do you know what I mean? There'd be multiple teams that would be interested in Bruno. So that's one to keep an eye on and pay attention to in the future. But yeah, give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Now, another player there's been a lot of noise around in the media over the last week or so is Harry Maguire. So according to The Sun, and this is Samuel Luckhurst in The Sun as well, who does have connections, is saying that Harry Maguire is hopeful of signing a new Manchester United contract before 2025 is out. Centre-back Maguire, 32, is approaching the final 8 months of his existing deal, but discussions are underway about a renewal. And then he goes on to say that United's Director of Football Negotiations, Matt Hargreaves, has held initial talks with the England international's representatives. And then it says about him just recently extending his contract by a year. So it's one of these with Harry Maguire where it's been like, he's going, he's staying, he's going, new contract, no new contract. I'm just at the point now with Maguire. Let's just wait and see what happens regarding it, because we're hearing conflicting information pretty much every day at the moment. Some days, no, not going to be offered a new contract. Next day, yes, he is. No, he's not. Yes, he is. Let's just wait and see how all that plays out, because it's not the worst thing in the world if he goes. It's not the worst thing in the world if he stays, in my opinion. It's one of these where, generally speaking, we've got other issues in the squad outside of Harry Maguire. If he stays, great. He's a good leader and can do a job, and good backup striker for those last minute headers and bits that we need sometimes as well. If he goes, then fair play to him. I'm not really bothered either way now, because the stories have just been so mixed on it. But we'll just need to wait and see what happens regarding Harry Maguire. And then the final story I've got for you is regarding a little bit of transfer news. So this is coming in from Court Offside, saying that Manchester United, Chelsea and Arsenal are keen on signing Juventus star Kenan Yildiz. Prepared to make substantial offers, Yildiz is open to a move to the Premier League, with United viewing him as a long-term successor to Bruno Fernandes. Yildiz is one that we've been linked with for a while now. Very good, very talented player. Is definitely one that I would not be against us signing. Like, he's a very talented player. There are rumours, though, he might be getting a new contract with Juventus. The source, not the most credible, so I'll pay attention to it for you. I'd want to see a bit more credibility, though, regarding Yildiz, but he is a player that is on, is being constantly linked with United, but like that could be for clickbait reasons. It could be there is some substance in it as well. Could be contract renewals. He's trying to get a new contract, and so linking him with United and a few other Premier League clubs to generate some interest to, get a bumper contract from Juventus. But either way, he's a very talented young player. Definitely one that I would not be against signing and bringing in. I think he's got some really, really good qualities. but I'd want to see a bit more credibility than where that story's come out from. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.